So, self-care and counselor burnout is clearly something that I love to talk about. I am a huge guru for this. This is something I presented in the community on. This is clearly a presentation that I have done before. So, imagine we're all on a plane and the stewardess begins to tell us about the safety guidelines. Who do you put the oxygen mask on first? Yourself or the child? That's right. You may have gotten this wrong. I think I've already asked you, but you put it on the child first because I'm sorry. That's fun. Put it on yourself first so you can breathe and help your child or the person next to you. So you have to put it on yourself first. We all got to have oxygen. You're no good to anyone else if you don't have the oxygen. So graduate school is rigorous. There's lots of long hours, you're learning skills, theoretical orientation, how to conceptualize cases, taped, critiqued, learning how to be a supervisee, heightened anxiety while still maintaining life responsibilities like a full-time job, perhaps family, parenting, etc. And that can feel very much like this. So what do we have to do? There's an antidote. Self-care is imperative. In fact, it's an ethical standard. The ACA Code of Ethics provides guidelines on what is considered impairment. Ethical standard states that counselors must monitor themselves for signs of impairment from their own physical, mental, or emotional problems. And the best time to start doing this is in graduate school. Yes, I'm almost done working and then we can play. See, I'm balancing right now. I'm doing this and then I'm going to play with my son. Research shows that most counselors become distressed at some point in their career. In fact, 82% of counselors have experienced one episode of distress. When we're distressed, we can be irritable, depressed, have low self-esteem, have feelings of helplessness, and somatic complaints. But we may not be fully impaired. Often we're able to deal with the distress or work through it without experiencing full impairment. This is where multiple forms of self-care will be optimal instead of turning out like this. Over here, I've definitely been there. Really stressful. So when we continue to be distressed, it can lead to burnout, which leaves us exhausted and drained and unable to be present for counseling. There's a definition of burnout here, and it's a real thing, and it happens. We become unable to have motivation. We feel just exhausted, emotionally depleted, helpless, and inefficient, and not able to leave client concerns at the office. So compassion fatigue versus burnout. There, you're going to hear again the terms in the literature can be used interchangeably, and but they mean two different things. So compassion fatigue is more personal, like stress related, internally stuff going on, and burnout's more to the organization, a lot of more external factors. So like if you're in community mental health, you might really experience burnout because of they're just loading on the clients, etc. And then you can become like this lady right here. Oh my gosh. To be impaired, right? If you're impaired, you're in bad shape. If you get into impairment, like we kind of are, you could be burnout and stress. We can mediate that. But when you become impaired, you've been in burnout so long, or in compassion fatigue for so long that you start to disclose too much. You are perhaps having no boundaries with your clients. That could be sexual or substance abuse issues, exploitation of clients. People who are vulnerable to impairment are people who have a lot of environmental factors, pre-existing mental health conditions, or working with different populations like sex offenders and substance abuse without really good, strong training. Working in outpatient mental health, I just mentioned that, and traumatized clients can lead to vicarious trauma and secondary PTSD. So, trauma outcomes for counselors, I don't know what those used to be. Hmm. I'll have to look back and see. Um, I think it's just these are just the kind of outcomes for counselors that happen when we've been exposed to trauma and we have secondary PTSD, because you can have all the symptoms of PTSD with just counseling people with PTSD. And these are the symptoms here. Okay. Cynicism, addiction, fear, look at all these feelings of inflated self-esteem, chronic exhaustion. And these are things I'm attuned to now. I have been here. I think I may have told you guys at one point I was driving along, and I think it was the bridge they were building at LaGrange College, and I was like, That'd be a pretty cool place. Not cool, but that'd be a place that someone could kill themselves. Huh. Top of the building. Someone could really jump off there. Not that I don't do that now. I think sometimes we do this so much that we're always aware and preventing things. So maybe looking at something and saying that's a high risk situation. But anyway, I'm not doing that as much now because I've worked on mediating that and helping myself to recover from burnout and secondary PTSD. Secondary traumatic stress versus vicarious traumatization. So there's a couple of definitions um, that are different here for secondary stress versus vicarious traumatization. You really need to know that. This is secondary, this is vicarious. Um, so here's the two different definitions. That's not so much what this is just interesting information. There's a study about the impact of stressful life events and that stressful life events can cause PTSD just like big traumas. The header underneath, coping mechanisms moderate the association between stressful life experience and subthreshold PTSD is my dissertation, which I had PTSD from. So here is the frequency distribution from my dissertation, and you just see the symptoms of PTSD and the main stressful life events, and it was a very powerful study. So what do we do about all this? First, goes a lot. But I just want you to kind of more know about the self-care stuff and read your text in chapter 8 about stress and burnout. So keep calm and practice self-care. The antidote to the problem is and can be self-care. Now, self-care is all of these things. Like I said, it's ethical for us to not be impaired and to practice self-care. So it is part of your responsibility as a professional to do these things like, look, sleep, relax, community, support, me time, awareness, rest, nutrition, activity, patience, protection, mindfulness, kindness, fun. Um, how are you going to do that? And that's what I want to know in the self-care reflection and the wellness wheel. So there's so many different types of self-care, but one of the things that I also want to bring up, self-care is also things like going to the dentist and the doctor for checkups, making time to do those things. In my history, there was a time that I wasn't making time for that. I mean, I just felt like I was wasting time by driving to Columbus to go to the doctor or whatever. And so, little things like washing your face at night or like self care, like routines for wellness for skin, or I mean, it can be all sorts of stuff. It can be really little stuff like making sure you sleep. That's a big thing, but having time to yourself by yourself, going on vacations, getting consultation, finding mentorship, going to therapy. Everyone in the class should be in therapy right now. So if you're not, find one. Um, Soothing music, prayer time, religious church, spiritual support, mindfulness training, increased training is actually self-care. I feel so good and so refreshed when I go to a new training. In fact, research says increased training and support really buffers burnout with trauma therapists. So when we have training in things like EMDR, when we have advanced training, we have efficacy. We feel efficacious for treating trauma. We see the strength in what we're doing and we feel really good about what we're doing and it buffers burnout. And I would say that is so true. So true. Learning how to hold energy. I'm impressed with myself that I added this last year. I went to a training and this is what I do now all the time. So let me please not forget to do this with you guys. In fact, my training person that taught me to do this is the person that I'm going to be seeing after your class that I went and did my training with. And I don't know how she would feel about us actually doing the meditation all together. It's a little out there, so I don't know how you guys feel about it. But it's really cool. So there's all these meditation practices and ways to keep yourself healthy and stay in your own energy and not get depleted. So in The Sacred Path of a Therapist, which is the book that she wrote, this is what she says. He describes resonance between two people. That resonance makes two a part of one, at least temporarily. Attuning to ourselves within mindful states, we have the observing and experience of self in resonance. We attune to others. We open ourselves to the profound adventure of linking two as part of one interactive whole. This joining is an intimate communion of essence of who we are as individuals, yet truly interconnected with one another. It is hard to put into words, but resonance reveals the deep reality that we are part of a larger whole, that we need one another, and in some ways that we are created by the ongoing dance within, between, and among us. Mindful awareness is the experience of bringing one's awareness within, a moment by moment of experience of being present and non-attached to outcome. So when I'm in mindful resonance, what this means, I'm meditating when my client is doing EMDR. And so I start with a meditation with them, and I think I'm going to do this with you guys. I'm making a note right now to do this with you guys in as part of our class because it's going to go nicely with the mindfulness in chapter 6. Make sure we do mindful meditation and green sequel. We're going to do that together. And then I am not like judging what's happening. I'm just kind of connected to earth and stars and breathing, and I'm waiting on my client. And I stay healthy and I stay rejuvenated, and it's awesome. And I learned it last year, so can't wait to share that with my wisdom with you guys. Here is an experience in self-care. This is called replenishing the well, and this can be a great activity to help you can add the information into your reflection. And I'll really know if you watch this, won't I? So get out a piece of paper, draw a large circle, place a smaller circle in the center to represent you, and label it with your name. Think of your life as a pie, divide the slices, and label them to show the various activities that you're engaged in on a regular basis. Some of the pie slices are work, learning, family, relationships, contributions to others, fun and leisure, physical and emotional self-care, and spiritual well-being. Reflect on your current life considering the following questions, and you can share them with someone at home in your life. Here are the questions. Am I living a balanced life? Are my priorities and values reflected in this allocation of time? If I had 1 month to live, is this the way I would allocate my time? Am I involved in too many activities? And that's very existential, right? If I have 1 month to live, I think about that all the time. Their dream or desire being put on the back burner. So read through all these and reflect, and you can use these. You can share this with a family member or actually do this activity and then talk about it in your reflection with me. Like, wait a minute, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need to do to fix it. And then your wellness plan, make your goals based off this activity. So it's a good way for me to know if you're watching these things, isn't it? Ha ha ha. Okay. Let's do something. If you want to join along with me now, I'm going to do something to help you relax. So take 3 deep cleansing breaths. And I want you to imagine a healing light. I want you to notice your favorite colored light that you associate with healing. Imagine that healing light shining down from the cosmos, directing itself at the top of your head, shining through the top of your head, focusing on any disturbance in your body. The more the light focuses on that area in your body, it resonates and vibrates in and around the area. Continue to notice the healing light shining down from the cosmos, through the top of your head, into your body, focusing on any disturbing areas, resonating and vibrating in and around the area. Notice the beautiful healing light coming into every portion of your body. Perhaps it's a beautiful violet, a beautiful blue, or pink, or white. Imagine that light shining through your body, connecting you up to the cosmos, to the universe. Bring the light into every portion of your body. Feel yourself expand larger and larger as the universe expands. Continue to imagine the never-ending stream of healing light shining through the top of your head and into your body. Begin to come back to the room as you stretch the light into every portion of your body, feeling the healing light come through your body. Bring the feeling with you back into the present as we come back to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Self-care is not selfish. It cannot serve from an empty vessel. I have come to believe that caring for myself is not indulgent. It is an